Family this month. And today it is the greatest pleasure to introduce you to Sharlene Cassel, the chair lady of the South African Disability Alliance. Good morning, Sharlene.
Hi, Milani. So lovely to be here
Morning.
and so excited to chat to you this morning.
Awesome. Yes, I'm so looking forward to it. Sharlene, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your disability and your personal journey.
Thanks, Milani. So, yeah, as you all know, I'm Sharlene Cassel. Not only am I chairperson of SADA, the South Africa Disability Alliance, but I'm also National Director of Epilepsy South Africa. So I think let me just pause and I will give you far more details as Milani asks, but just to say that I am a person with epilepsy. I have very, very severe epilepsy. I was diagnosed when I was 8, Milani, and it's been an enormous, enormous journey. Just the last 5 years, I have had uncounted seizures, from the grand mal seizures, which are the large seizures known when your whole body goes stiff, your eyes roll, you get put on your side and last significant periods of time, to the smaller seizures where you lose minutes or you lose seconds, so known as absence or petit mal seizures. I can tell you lots and lots and lots about it, but you
Sure.
ask me.
Your journey, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been diagnosed when you were 8 years old, and how did this journey, unfold throughout your life?
So I
The
think,
schooling.
yeah, when I was 8, it was a case of I walked down the stairs. My parents are both medical people, and there were no real signs or symptoms, or it just, my epilepsy started. And I woke up a couple of hours, about an hour later, I think, and when my whole memory restored was probably 2, 3 hours, and I didn't even recognize my parents. I didn't know these strangers were sitting next to me, and slowly I learned my name. Slowly that information just started downloading. My parents made a decision at that point that I would have all the support and the everything I needed to be able to stay in mainstream education. The school recommended remedial education, and I look back on my life, and it really was a moment that my parents changed my life, where I did have all the support. I had seizures right through to the point of, as an example, one of the many examples was just writing all my prelim exams in matric, being called into the headmaster with my parents, and all my papers were blank. And that was horrific because I'd worked so hard. The consequence, which was a success story, which when my matric results did come out 6 months later, 5 months later, my parents were crying, and I was like, oh my word, I failed matric. And when they showed me the results, I'd not only passed, but I got university degree entrance for any degree I wanted. But I think my journey is not so much as, yes, the seizures have been huge events, life-changing events, but it's the in between the seizures that is so very difficult to manage. It's the unseen things going on neurologically, when my short-term memory takes days, weeks, hours to restore. One seizure takes a month to recover from 100%, as we know. So it's the unseen brain recovery that's really difficult, because people don't understand the moody, they don't understand the sleeplessness or the sleep, they don't understand the cognitive load that you don't cope with, the multitasking that becomes difficult. It really is, epilepsy is absolutely debilitating. And sadly so, because I've got refractory epilepsy, I can break through meds. So it's always like, not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to be. Not if we're going to change medication. It's when it's a journey. So it's really been, epilepsy as an unseen disability has been very difficult.
And you mentioned your family and your support network. Would you say that played an important part in your journey?
100%.
And even your medical support team as well, I suppose.
Look, my family has been invaluable, and I think it's been the unwavering belief in me that I kind of have just done things despite my epilepsy. They never said to me, you are limited because of. It was always a case of, yes, she can't do this, but let's teach her to do this. So I was never marginalized, separated out, treated differently. And yes, I when I was in corporate, I experienced the stigma, I experienced the other side of really the even recently I had someone, no, you shouldn't do that. People like you shouldn't do that. And I kind of looked at this person and I was like, somebody in, they're not a far out friendship circle, an acquaintance. And I really got taken aback. And these things will always happen. I only started talking out about my epilepsy. It's 14 years, almost exactly. So I was over 40 when I first had the courage to step up and go, I can disclose, I am prepared to speak. And it hasn't been a journey without the need for psychosocial support, because when you speak out, so much comes out, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
concurrent to that, my siblings have I'm the eldest of a large family, and I've seen when I unpack that with my siblings and speak to it only recently, because my one sister recently came on a webinar, and we actually said, no, we can't look at each other because we'll both cry. And we did look at each other. We both did cry. My sons have struggled. My 15-year-old doesn't remember life without me having seizures. And he's
You've got
gone
two
through
boys.
serious trauma. Yeah, I've got two boys. My boys have gone through trauma. They've needed a lot of support. They've saved my life a number of times. They've seen me in status epilepticus. They've been so close. They're so close that they've experienced my moodiness, my mood shifts, my medication changes. So it really is. It's made them on the other side incredibly empathetic young men. It's made them compassionate. It's made them, there's so many traits I'm proud that they have, but I know it comes from a wounding space. And I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed by my children.
Can you just quickly tell us in short what is status epilepticus? I think many of our listeners may not have heard that term before.
So we have normal brain function. So epilepsy is the easiest way to describe it. Is we all tell our children not to put fingers in plugs, right? So if you
Right.
put a finger in your plug, you get a massive electrical surge through your arm and it's really sore. Now, what happens with
Okay.
epilepsy is that surgical charge, that electrical current shoots through into your brain and will shoot into a specific part of the brain, and that's where your epilepsy, your seizures, you can almost imagine your brain goes into this massive spasm. Now, that is an abnormal moment. What happens neurologically is your brain thinks that's a normal moment, and it's normal. So it switches into the repeated seizures and you stay in seizure mode.
Okay.
The minute you see somebody's literally not coming out, 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, you have to get emergency medical treatment. So I've been airlifted. I've lain in hospital with them running enormous amount of drugs to bring my brain down, to stop the electrical current, to stop potential brain damage. So status epilepticus, and you need to be brought out of it as soon as possible. Because of the neurological damage. But it's terrifying because you know when you have multiple seizures. The one episode, I think it was in 23, 22, in the last 5-6 years, I went into seizures, status epilepticus. We lost count how many I had, probably 10 or 15. They airlifted me out from home and got me to ICU and into major drug space to stop the seizures. So,
Sure. It's a big thing to carry. And I want to know, how did you ever struggle with acceptance? And, how did that influence your view on the world, your career, and, being the successful woman that you are today? How has that impacted your mental and your acceptance?
yeah, I think I've been on the other side, the privileged side of the scale, because one is that although I've never personally spoke out about my epilepsy, my folks created a space of, Sharlene is not different. She may have epilepsy, but she's the same as you have something else, or you get really sick, or you you are, whatever other challenge that other person has, is that this is what Charlene's passenger is. So when I walked off the netball court with the ball in my hand and I was turned around and I was walked back having a certain type of seizure, it was a case of my mom just spoke to everybody, and it was, yes, they saw me as odd, yes, they saw me as different, but I think I was quite protected. The acceptance comes where a lot of self-acceptance comes in, a lot of self-stigma comes in, a lot of your own mental talk comes in. And if I haven't been accepted or somebody's not accepting me, I generally as a persona push through it. I will push through and really communicate. I'm a communicator. Uh, I I don't accept being pushed away. I don't accept when somebody starts this or tries to
Yeah.
stigmatize me or isolate me.
Yes, that's wonderful. I think that's key for a self-advocate, with regardless of the type of disability that you have. I'm curious to know about your career in corporate. You mentioned your career in corporate. How did and I'm specifically want to refer to disclosure. Was that ever did that ever come into play with your, disclosing your the
I
epilepsy to
didn't.
your
I didn't
employers?
disclose. I didn't
You didn't.
disclose.
Okay.
I didn't. And I think if looking back, would I or should I have? Yeah, I should have. I just wasn't at a point where I was yet open enough to speak about my epilepsy. I didn't feel safe enough. I was in a space where I think the culture wasn't aligned.
Mm,
And I think today how we've evolved with disclosure and how companies have got so culturally aware, and how engagement with staff is so important, and Epicenter, the more knowledgeable and the more corporates and companies have evolved with this very dialogue, is it's easier and you're more encouraged to disclose. It's rhetoric within a company.
yeah.
I think years and years ago it wasn't. Years and years ago there wasn't someone saying, Charlene, would you like to speak? How's your health? They wouldn't have taken the
Mm,
time then to even ask.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I also want to know, as a woman with a disability, have you ever felt that you have to work harder to be seen or heard or taken seriously? Yeah. Did you ever feel that you had to put in extra effort?
Yeah, I think there is always that push. There is always that, oh, I need to be driving this. I've been a single mom for a while now. So that evidence and that validation of myself and that making sure that there's space for me. Yeah, absolutely. I've come up with that. I think again, there's women need greater voices. Women in leadership are needing to be more in leadership. How do we do that while holding our own femininity, by living with our own things, living in my case with an invisible disability? And it comes with a balance. It comes with, I have to know my limitations, but I have to
Mm,
disclose my limitations, but excel and work and go that extra mile in terms of being that woman leader. So it
yes,
comes with a tremendous emotional intelligence and a space of,
absolutely.
what can I do? What is my capacity and what isn't? And
Yes.
I like being in control, right? So one of the things that comes
Yeah.
with this is a control space, is that it's really important for me to know what I can control, because so much of my epilepsy I can't control. So it translates very much into